the pledge and a brief moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks everyone. First thing we need to do is approve the agenda. Everybody had a chance to look at it? First and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed the same. Agenda approved. All right, Brett, safety minute and cool moment.
First of all, for the safety minute, there's Federated is putting out a bunch of videos, and so as a part of our safety meeting this morning, we showed a couple of these, and so I thought this one, it is 6 minutes long, so I do apologize, but I think it's pretty impactful on its message. So if I can do this.
Accident. It was a motor vehicle versus highway. Things switch, things change. Somebody who got the save this thing. And he continued his path. You know, this man is somebody's son, somebody's father. It's a tragic thing to see something like that. And always shut up. And I don't know if he's watching all of them. He started his right shoulder. He was bad, of course, he's airlift cities, lost, I believe, both legs. That's like a future one part of the body touches. Like, well, the same thing, one part of the body touches.
and hash ice and we can single your climate change. Every time just an accident. The utility pole. My friend's bleeding, she's in her head. There's power lines, I and go picture, I don't.
If you're ever involved in an accident with an overhead power lines underground, that's stay in the vehicle, call 911 or stay.
Okay. You got it. Put down my feet together. I can't put the car and the ground. Okay. So, 1, 2, 3.
Always. Simply walking away from the vehicle. Keep your feet together. Keep your feet from you. The front of your feet are apart. This is your license.
Are you okay? How are you?
It's one of the most dangerous situations you'll have in motor vehicle accident. These few steps will take your life. Assume components and equipment and always do not leave the vehicle. Call 911. The only reason you get out of the vehicle is if smoke or fire forces you out. There's only one way to do it correctly. Please pay attention and ensure nobody has to witness what I've seen.
So as you can tell, it's pretty dramatic, but I feel like that's part of us, our expertise is to make sure people are aware of what to do when a situation like that occurs. As far as cool moment, 2 things. One, we had our Operations Roundup grants. And just as a number, we've been doing this since 1999. I've awarded 323 grants totaling almost 600,000. Another thing too, we did participate in the Lyman Rodeo. Our guys did a really good job. I'm going to send you guys the link. It's about a 5 or 6 minute video, so I won't show it tonight, but I'd take a look at it. It's really cool. They gathered some footage from a drone and you can see our guys. It's neat. So I'll shoot that out to you in an email and you can check it out.
For your information, anybody have questions from anything that's listed there?
Page 8, the payment of the road. That we pay to retain. for sure.
Good questions? Okay, I think we'll go on then. We'll look at the previous meeting minutes and we need to approve them. We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, the same. Minutes are approved from last month. All right, CEO report, Brett.
A couple things, just want to go over some project updates first. 35-year strategic plan. This was a project that was on our list to do this year with the organizational changes. We're not saying it's on hold because we're working those, but original timing of having some of those completed and things like that, we're going to be working it as time's allotted. So I just wanted to bring that up to make you aware of that. Second one is broadband feasibility project. We're going to give you an update in executive session tonight. 2 capital credit retirements. So you're going to see a presentation on that tonight. And then financial management plan, again, you'll see a presentation on that tonight. I think we've got everything ready to go on that. So these are specific to the projects that we've been working and have movement. Any question on any of the projects specifically? I did want to direct your attention too on the CEO report, just the Accord membership is executed now. So we are officially an Accord member. We were invoiced and we paid that, and they approved us in their board meeting. So we'll participate in those board meetings. And then pay attention to the union negotiations. That is coming up on the 16th and 23rd of October. So just around the corner. Any other questions specific to projects? All right, if not, we'll go through the metrics. So August's median temperature was about 2.6%, which it looks pretty dang when we were flat over our 5-year average. Cooling degree days, you can see, was down quite a bit from our 5-year average. And then Hoosier's purchase energy was down. It's basically flat, but 0.9% lower than our 5-year average. And then our NCP demand was about 2.8%. Or sorry, it's relatively flat also, with it being like 0.8, 0.9 below. So both energy and demand pretty much, I'd suggest, are flat for the month. If you look at our retail sales, again, for August, you can see residential jumped back pretty negative again. Commercial stayed pretty consistent. Industrial stayed consistent, and then transmission jumped back to being above budget in a good spot there. And then overall, from a sales standpoint, we are still about 2.85% under budget in KWH, which we made up some ground if you see the 3.2 above. So helped out a little bit. As far as outages, we really had no major storms, knock on wood. Really the only major one we've had so far that didn't even meet the line was that high wind event that we had. Lost consumer hours, you can see well below our 5-year average. Same thing with number of outages, not well below, but pretty close to what 5-year average is. And then as far as causes for, we're in that time period right now where vehicles and machinery usually is a high one, trees not in right of way, and then trees. As Questions on anything from my report, the company metrics, or any company projects that you may have questions on? Beginning of next year. Yeah. That's the latest and greatest, and quite honestly, that's moved quite a bit here and there. So latest and greatest we know right now is it'll be probably next year. We, just to let you know where we're at on that, we almost have, so the first design iteration was done. That was handed over for engineering review. There were some things there that we need to look at, so it went back. So it's sort of in staking. I think the due date's next Tuesday. Then we'll get the line extension actually going from that design, and we'll present that to the member and kind of work it from there. So it's becoming more known as far as what the load looks like, stuff like that. This is going to be one though that I think, Steve, this is in your area, so we'll probably want to get you on board. This specific member has had 2 or 3 other line extensions where they didn't have to pay anything because they were huge loads. This one's a big load, but it's probably, I'm guessing it's not going to cover the full cost. So we're going to have that learning there. It's going to have that education. It's going to have to go on with why they're having to pay on this one. And it's just because the load's not near as big as their previous line extensions loads. So we'll educate them. We'll do everything we can do to let them know kind of why it is what it is. We'll go through it with them. Just want to be prepared that I'm assuming that'll escalate. They normally do. So. To answer your question on that one, that's really the major. And just to let you guys know from kind of a operations standpoint is with Brian coming up on retirement, we've decided that he's going to focus in on this project specifically. And then basically all line extensions, new services, all those things are kind of going through Brent now. Brent's pretty trained up. He'll go to Brian when he needs him, but Brian's specifically going to be on this project. And then he'll be working some mapping errors to get those all cleaned up before he exits. Good question. Any other questions as far as any of the projects or any of the metrics?
Everybody good?
I did include in there, and I'm going to probably continue to do this. Jason gets some of them through Donna from Hoosier, but I read quite a bit of stuff that comes across my desk. And so if I see something that I feel like is pertinent, I'm going to put it in there for you all to take a look at. I'll just attach it to the CEO update. If there's something that I'm like, you really need to do this, I'll specifically email you. Otherwise, I'll just put it as part of the CEO thing because there's quite a bit in there and I'm not expecting you to read every bit of it. Just suggested readings.
All right, good. Any questions for Brett? Thanks. We'll go ahead and go to the financial update, Matt.
Okay, the biggest thing this month was we borrowed $1.5 million in long-term debt. We paid off the full amount we loaned with the line of credit, and the rest of it was prepaid Hoosier. That plan went up, all that at 40%. Those are the main things for this month. This month last. Does anybody else have any questions about it? Okay, next we have the income statement. As you can see, we're running above in revenues and power costs, although our gross margin isn't as high as budgeted. And that will continue the remainder of the year. We're well under sales of power on that's going to continue throughout the year. Controllable expenses, maintenance and billing. But billing and in general are kind of just netted out. We felt where people were placed. Maintenance is under some of the right-of-way bills. budget for controllable expenses. And biggest thing I draw your attention to is if you look at the 2022 today, our total margins last year at this time were 142,000. This year, our operating margin is the year from Next, we have the cash flows. You can see our cash went up during the month, and that's because we borrowed $1.5 million. Next, we have our planned investments. The biggest thing to call out here is that it's service upgrades. That's well over because of the project at Point. That was a large dollar amount. Everything else in general is following along where we expected. Meters and transformers are higher than budgeted. We did get a bunch more than we thought we would. This year, we thought some of them would probably come next year, but they've gotten almost everything, which, as Eric told you guys earlier today, we did save a lot of money by stuff. So, in general, vehicles and trailers, that's the bucket truck. We know now we're not going to get that this year, so that's not there. But other than that, any questions on the plant here? Or?
I do have a question. So in preparation, since we're looking at the fourth quarter this weekend, for 2024, how are those pole replacements? I mean, I'm not going to just keep carrying over 2022 budgeting, et cetera. How are you, for example, just for the $350,000 we're not going to do? We're not going to budget. How is that going to be included in funds needed to fund the budget for next year? You know what I'm saying? How do we carry that over? Because I don't know if we've had that much carried over since I've been here. I mean, we haven't had able to, we budgeted in January, still didn't get it come December.
Yeah.
So how will that be in a budget when it's presented? Because we're gonna have to, that cost is gonna have to be in somewhere. The actual expenses we have still.
Since we know now we're not going to get that until 24,
Right.
we will re-update that in the budget.
Okay.
But for example, the one here, the 2022 budgeted, those were things that carried over that we thought would be done when we did the budget. Because the budget is based off a 9 actual plus a 3 estimate. As of today, we know that we're not going to get that truck, so it'll be in next year's budget. The only time it ever was difficulty is when something's expected to be done at year end and it carries forward in January.
I just don't remember those large amounts being carried over. It's just,
Yeah.
just-
Well, normally you're tracking 2022, they get it for
And then the same thing with the pole replacements, like the example, like the 2022 regs have less. In 2024, are we still going to be reporting in 2022? Are we going to have a 2023 or just prior years collaborate all together?
I would like to condense pole replacement tab versus trying to separate it all out. The pole replacement is a pole replacement.
Already instead of separating that out. I'm just from my knowledge, because I know it's always an issue on budget and trying to.
My suggestion too so these are stuff that so you're always doing the year, right? So in other words, next year it's going to say prior year. We were asked to break these out, which isn't how our system.
Going forward, we just have prior.
Going forward, in my opinion, we put pole replacement. Our system doesn't care if it's red tagged or it's a wreck. It's looking at it, but we asked for this.
With the board.
I would love to condense the one line into a pole replacement. It is, I
Prior year budget.
yeah, the hope is that at this point, that we will have most all.
So they're condensing. I mean, I'm just throwing that out.
There won't be prior years. This wasn't prior year. This was stuff that we had asked to, you guys as a board had asked us to, it wasn't a carryover from last year's budget. It's just, that's when,
Yeah.
okay, those four were,
The two
okay.
different-
You have stuff that they wrapped up in late December, early January. And as I've told you guys many times, I don't ask for invoices any faster than I have their money's long. So it makes it, it's not as clean on this, but when you can make money on your money, there's no. Hey, Hoosier, we save some money now. That is the, that was budgeted for. If we're gonna put the back building, if we're gonna.
None of it's been used yet.
that would be-
We're just gonna carry it over to be 57,000 again for 2022. The 350,000 for the vehicle, just carried on over for the 2024 budget.
I will put the vehicle and trailer in the next year. I don't know, depends on what you guys want to do from an architect standpoint. We're on that.
That's already been approved in the budget.
Yes, and we talked about that with the building, in the executive session the other month. I assume we'll probably talk about that. If everybody had an opportunity to see.
I'm just trying to find for the 2024.
Yep.
Thank you.
But we probably are gonna work on just condensing this because there won't be any pre's or, it's really gonna be current red tags, which are prior year. That's what gets confusing, right? So in other words, it's stuff that was rejected this year will be put on there as one line item. And our suggestion is gonna be, we come in budget, we're gonna break it out for you in the budget as to how we came up with that number. But let's track them how the accounting system tracks them, which is a pole replacement's a pole replacement's a pole replacement. Our accounting system in RUS doesn't give, they don't care if it's a wreck, a storm, or a red tag pole. They don't care. It's all pole replacements. So the way our accounting system would work is it looks at it that way. We'll break it out as to how we come up with what that budget is in the like, hey, these are the red tag ones. Here's what we're kind of estimating. Here's our normal wreck storms. Here's how we estimate what that is. But it'll be one total that we'll actually put into the budget.
Can we argue two forward placement? Number two budget anyway.
Oh, they're
I mean, they're just. not-
extremely difficult.
I mean, not that it's not valuable to have a number in there.
It's a guess.
The meters and transformers, everything. Miscellaneous replacements.
We have to- That is kind of,
I mean, those are an average of several years and they're. I mean, which one was it that we just put a number in there?
New services was the one we wanted,
Yeah.
just to, because we just.
And part of it is too, is how you decide to code stuff. I mean, service upgraders and service. I mean,
Pole replacement can be anywhere from $2,000 to $12,000,
and it's more replacement.
which means an average doesn't mean anything. Statistically.
You go out, you put a hole in there, have to replace the one next to it, might have a hole replacement.
Make it even more complicated.
Just the money you want.
Normally what you would see in someone's budget, you don't even see pole replacements, right? It goes into whatever bucket drove it, essentially. In other words, miscellaneous and additions would capture all your wrecks and things like that. Service upgrades, if there's a pole that was created because of service upgrade, it would be in there. Same thing with new services.
Main categories on the RUS work plan project, new service, meter. And there is one,
Is it?
and then there's miscellaneous. And you can, depending on how, I mean, and we have talked to engineering and staking to try to be consistent on how they code everything, because how they start the work order It's how it flows through. If they decide that something is a service upgrade, that's where it's gonna flow through. To a certain extent, I'm not gonna go out in the field and say, no, I don't think that was a service upgrade, that should be a new service. Doing that. So I rely on their professional expertise as to where they think it belongs. As far as coding,
Wasn't the red tag put in just for accountability, so the red tags were being replaced,
I believe
basically?
it was done at board request, yes.
And then on that 57, Suzanne, we'll probably have to, I mean, my team will try to figure out, like, my guess is if we want to put it in there, we're going to ask for it again, even though it was approved in this budget. And that's some of those one-off things. It depends. I mean,
But you're still going to keep track of red tag.
Yeah, we have a whiteboard back here. We have how many work orders, how many polls are.
Red tag polls, we really want to do them first.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah. And there are quite a few polls that we haven't been in. But like I said, we're not gonna go out and ask for. To pay them.
Any additional questions? All right, thanks for that, Matt. But we'll go ahead and move on to financial management plan. And I think you're gonna walk us through that as well, Matt.
I wasn't planning on it. Unless you want me to, it's wordy.
So in your call to order. You have a memo. The new policy. And the 4 policies that the new policy would take the place of. What we're asking is that you rescind policy 4-12, 4-7, 4-6, 4-8, and approve the new policy 4-14. 4-14 incorporates most everything from those 4 policies and combines everything into one financial management plan that we have discussed probably for, I guess we first presented it about a year ago. I guess I would, my question would be, is there any questions on the new policy based off what you told us last month to do?
Is that still, is that just a name change or?
User does it every 2 years. Oh yeah.
And that's gonna happen every 2 years.
It's law. It's RUS requirement. And a lot of those, Jason, that you're looking at, these are general. The board may make a decision, on construction work plan. I mean, you can make a decision not to do a construction work plan. Yeah. Yep. And those other 4 policies, everything's kind of intertwined when it talks about all those things. So we thought it was better suited. And if you look at the template from CRC or CFC, you really want it as one. They're really interconnected. The only ones that we didn't there's one for capital credits, and it actually goes into great detail about how capital credits are done. So we put a pointer in this new policy to that one and left that one. But other than that, we're just trying to combine everything. I don't think there's anything in there that we didn't talk about.
That would be a starting point. I feel like we're doing this.
I thought it is there, isn't it?
Prove that, I, I would just do that, that is how I would
Fifties, I think
tell me how to put it.
it's referring to.
Or it does say, that's why we put in there the for planning purposes. Yeah, because another board could think that's a completely different number, which is so all this. Yep. So when we're building a 10-year financial forecast, it's good to know these types of things and have them written down by the board that says, hey, this is kind of what we want you to do. That's why we wanted it kind of in writing. Again, it's going to be used for planning purposes. In other words, a lot of the decisions we make, they aren't going to impact us for 10 or so years. It's more critical for our planning documents on a 10-year horizon to know.
Okay.
No.
That's fine. I just. So I didn't check it.
That's what's in the current. Yeah, I mean, that needs to be a conversation. I get that could be 0 to 100. That's probably a really good point. Yes. That may have been in the template. And we just left it as a talking point. So I'm going to go in there. Maybe. Number is that. Like that, Jason? I don't think we did on Hoosier. We didn't, you guys didn't. Yeah. Yep.
and the concerns about this, but again, when I was in high level and saying allow operate and bring things to us. A lot of parameters we ultimately have the ability.
This will give us again, it gives us, I need to know what do I load in my 10-year forecast. What number is that, Jason? No.
No.
The policy calls it out as storm damage.
That's one of the rescinded policies. No, it's the policy that's being. I never called it.
It's actually the same. So go to rescind policies. Go to that policy work. It's actually first page on there. If you go to B, we just copied over the exact same verbiage as what's in policy today.
Yeah, we talked about that. I didn't believe.
But that's what our policy says.
The idea was not to get rid of it, to put it all together, but not remove just to what those policies had.
We could update that though in here if we want to now.
I could do it.
So again, we're gonna rescind the 4 previous policies, merge into this new one. Need a motion. If okay, we have a first. And a second. Any additional discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. Motion approved. All right, I think Crystal, you're gonna go over a few things with us from the capital credits that we talked about from the previous.
So Matt and I went and looked at 5 accounts and we kind of just picked some random accounts that we knew were people that were already deceased to look to see kind of what their balances were on their capital credit money that was left still to be paid out. And then we ran it through. So on the left side, you can see if we retired Decatur County RMC and Hoosier to clean out the entire accounts and just get rid of everything. Those 5 accounts that we ran through total $24,878.70 of unretired money. So we did it at the 3%, and then we did it at 4.2 because that was the blended interest rate, right? And then we went ahead and did 5 and 7 just so that we could show everybody those differences. So you can see at 3%, obviously, we would be paying them back $14,939. And then if we go all the way down to 7, it's $85.09 to clean out everybody at the $24,878. If we only want to do the REMC and keep Hoosier Energy, then there's the numbers with the exact same percentages. And obviously the total of 12,775 is because it's only the REMC portion. Is there any questions on on those numbers.
Crystal, just so I'm clear, so same 5 accounts to both sides.
Yeah.
So the 24,878 is the total capital credits they are entitled to. We ignore the discounts, that's gonna be paid out through our normal.
Correct.
If we give them a 3% discount, 14,999, what we're gonna pay, when's that 3% immediate?
It'll be immediate.
Easy. The difference between the two becomes permanent equity, is that correct? And that's why it flows through on every-
They all residential.
Yeah.
Oh, we in essence. So 25. These would be, and would be fully vested at the end of 25 years.
Most of them,
I don't know if that's really
yeah.
fully vested.
I know what
I think all 5 accounts that we picked were people that had the almost 30 years
Okay.
of
But
money
a lot of them passed away 5 and 10 years
already,
ago.
like,
They haven't accumulated more.
correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Most of these, well, some of them are old.
Yeah.
So the discount is a lot more. Yes, the higher the discount rate. No, I mean, even the 3%.
Yes.
Yeah. It's way. So my concern really did that. This. But really, this back meaning of, I mean, it's real. Well, it's hard to price value. I mean, if you're not in the, $24,000 30 years from now, it's about $8,500 today. It's a, that's effectively what's selling. I mean, it gets the fair dollar value of that today based off that discount rate. I would argue that the number cannot be lower than what money is. It's not fair. Yeah. And most places use a higher number. We have several nearby co-ops. They said that they're using 6 and 7. So, I mean, if you look at your weighted average cost of capital, I mean, equity is more expensive than debt. I mean, realistically, right now, you want to borrow short-term money. I mean, you could set it at the current loan rate. I mean, what Hoosier pays us. I mean, that's effectively, we could prepay Hoosier, so it costs us that percentage today.
For this whole process. Is it to clear up those accounts?
I think that the initial goal was to, if someone did pass away, that if their estate was settled, that we could close out that account so that anybody in the future doesn't have to continue to get checks for 30 years and they can just close out that bank account. Because I know there are people who have trouble cashing checks and things after the fact. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You do have the option also. Yes, to someone else.
Correct.
And you could still do that before it goes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
So the representative of the trust or the estate can do that?
Yes, and one of these that has happened. I guess it's just offering another option.
Correct. They still have the option to do the regular 20, whatever the retirement is. That's why I'm saying, I think if you go a little bit more than what you were normally thinking, isn't going to be a bad, I mean, they still have the option to get. Correct.
Nobody's required.
And you do have to think about, these were residential people. So if you think of, there could be a large farm that person passes away and they come in and they say, oh, well, I've got, $40,000 sitting out there of unretired capital credits. And I want to take all of that money and I'm going to reinvest it somewhere else so I can make money myself instead of the RMC making money. So we also have to consider that is a risk of allowing this to happen, that, we don't just serve residential members. We also have businesses and large farming organizations. So, this is just a standard, most of these are standard houses that are, their bills weren't that high, but
In my mind, when we asked for that, that's what.
Yeah, right.
Regular. average
Right.
Joe people
Yes.
like, hey, are we gonna get $100?
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, someone passes away, and the estate wants to keep it, what, how long?
But right now it'd be about 28 years. Yeah.
What, 20 years from now?
Yeah. Right, right.
No, most likely not, yeah. It's a good point.
Of unretired?
We don't know. We don't know because we don't know everybody that's correct. There's some people that don't do anything with it. It goes on the uncollectibles and
But when we discussed it last month, didn't we talk about? Would it?
It would be like from this point in time. Yeah, like we talked about, like, we're not gonna allow it forever. It's gonna be, if you decide to move forward, it'll be from X date.
And that's
Forward.
where I was going, because I'm saying, it's this big.
Right. Yeah,
but you could go back and say as of, whenever we draft it, or you can say year back.
We could set the effective date.
Correct.
and that's what I recommend. Yes, yes.
Let's say for argument's sake, we offered this one. We don't really, we have control of ECRC.
Right.
We don't have. We've been getting that very religiously. We don't know that. So if we just did the deed, we said that during one. That, are we going to, and we're gonna pay, let's say, $1 million capital. So are we going to, how are we going
So
to,
then
we're
you,
gonna pay this first?
yeah, so you would have to allot a certain amount of money to,
30% of it,
to
5%.
to the estate retirement fund. And then you would,
Because we're really
pay
not
out the
gonna know.
rest. They're not gonna know. Correct. Right.
So the other RMC that you talked with, they had, most people.
Their budget, they're budgeting between 40 and 50,000 a year. So
Comparable size.
a little bigger.
most
So I don't
people
think we're gonna be like,
Most people are not taking.
right.
Are they, are they doing?
No. Or not. Because that is not, and that's
No
that's
user.
my thought, is that you are not guaranteed Hoosier Energy money. They could decide next year,
Correct.
we aren't giving you that money back, and then the REMC is gonna be fronting half of the amount.
We don't know that though, dude. That's just what we think.
But they would have to find an heir that they would fill out an heir form, and then we would pay that money back to the heir instead of it still being paid out to the deceased person. Then that
So
changes.
it could clean up some. To be a word cash, checks don't get cash.
Right.
So, like,
Right.
I don't think this would be an issue either, but we'll have to think about this. So the way the policy reads today, we have to go back and look at it, but we have to pay a certain percentage of the oldest date. So if, let's just say this comes out to be $200,000. And then the last, I don't even know if it's that much, is it?
I think it is.
But it will drive you to a certain number that you're gonna have to do. Current. Yeah, but we only usually pay, I mean, if you look back 15 years of this organization, the only reason we did those current is because of COVID.
Well, and we've never done the full, we've never done the full current amount either. It's always been a
Correct.
portion.
And also my argument against that, Jason, is it's our choice. We're forcing people to take that money early. They're not choosing to take it early. So I don't think it should be discounted.
The board decided.
Yeah.
And like what you do.
I just think going back on the last couple of years and saying, that we did the earliest dates, that was a unprecedented reasons of why.
We didn't do the earliest dates. We just also included, because you have to, it's first in, first out. You always have to go back and pay the oldest. So we did pay like 50% of the oldest, and then we paid 20% of this year, and then, yeah, we filled it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could try to.
Out all the time.
But I guess
Yes.
Because we could just.
yeah, you're exactly.
So would you think it would, my opinion would just be the. My opinion, of 1 month.
And you have to pick a percent.
Mine would be 1 month. That's just fine.
Coming year, okay. Are you making a motion?
Well, why don't we do that? Yeah, we got to draft a policy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just need to know the kind of what you're wanting to do, and then we will fix all of the.
I think
Why 5%? Yes, is all. That's what, okay.
just around.
It's got to be above 4.2 or it's not really fair because that's the blended interest rate.
Yeah, interest rate, and I was just thinking.
Okay.
math.
And it's something you can change. We could do 5% for this year, and then we can look at it.
5%. Just be.
We could make it a decision that you do
Board has to work the rate.
just like you would a capital. I like that.
Fluctuates so much.
We do this 1-1. Someone comes in and says, hey, passed away.
No.
So how are we gonna?
Effective 1/1/2024.
Hitting
Any death that occurs. Yes. Yeah. But otherwise, you're gonna have people coming in 20 years ago, and it's just gonna be a mess. Yeah.
You agree with that?
Makes decision annually based on current.
Like 5% is kind of the guidance, but the board's going to make the decision.
Okay, I just make it. Interest.
Based on current interest rates.
Blended interest.
That'd be something that we.
I think so, because this would be a process we would do once a year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would make sense. Mhm.
And then you can change that if something drastically changes, and you go to 10%. You have that ability.
You know,
Don't worry about the spelling. We'll get
Yeah. I'll send stuff out to my staff and they'll give me all these spelling errors back. And I'm like, I'm not looking for spelling. I'm looking for substance here. I get it. My spelling stinks. Move on, move on. That can't be him. Unfortunately, I'll own that.
We'll get that drafted, and then we'll bring it back to you next month, and then we can approve it.
Beautiful. Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
we will be.
I guess
And
the
they
board
could-
needs to have an error named instead of.
They can
original
do
spelling.
as it is today, or they could take the
You
option.
do not have to do this. It's completely an option. Mhm. Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right. Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you.
Abby, here with the annual meeting survey results.
There you go.
Working.
It's working. That's easy.
No, we received 854 surveys back, 679 attendees. After had the email, received those first, and then, yeah. Respondents, kind of shows here that it's pretty good spread over the territory. Again, very similar to what we had last year. Density is all the same. It's kind of spot on spread out there. Of the respondents, 427 attended. We got the 184 back there, which was a really good response of the 4%. Non-attendees, what we got back was still a pretty good return rate. And they were all there as well. Age range of the respondents, again, is very similar. Evening. Overall satisfaction, 88%, which was up from last year, 5-point scale, so pretty good. Only 1% that wasn't satisfied. Reasons they attended, I rate for bill credit and the food, socializing with co-op staff, surrounding business. Reasons for not attending the annual meeting, schedule conflict, not interested or the other. Of course, can't really control that. We did actually have, I feel like a lot that replied that disabled or, elderly, but they just really, keep that part. How did they hear about us? For attendees, this is a breakdown there. There's an increase here with the email, social media, website. It's getting stuff out there. I think they're just catching up on that stuff more. Increase too with family and friends. So I feel like they're talking about us a little bit more. And for somebody to say they did not hear about it, it's not really a good answer because we're hitting about every platform we can hit with people. So non-attendees, pretty well the same as the attendees. So those. Election. All responses here, 77% satisfied to very satisfied. And if you'll notice, there's only 5% that was not happy. So very good there. What we did. Coming back on the attendees, what they wanted to see, multiple ways to vote, secure election. Same thing for non-attendees. Couples. Meeting form. As you can see, there's definitely a and then voting stats of how they came back. On-site voting, pretty well match on. And electronic, seeing that trending up. Mail ballots trending down. And some takeaways that we've had from employees, they pretty well matched up with what our members said as well. Business meeting, they definitely want to see that held in person after Hoosier was on site to be able to help with the equipment. So no additional cost and no issues with people or connection issues there. Directors, they want to see you guys in all one area. It was kind of spread out, so people was helping and mingling. So to see you guys in one area so they can talk with you. We had some comments about food. took a while. So we kind of thought maybe next year we would just skip the tickets, have them sit down and work with a youth group to have them actually like wait on them. Lots of comments about in person, went amazing, everything was well, smooth, members really loved it. We had a lot of feedback on live line, the vendor area, activities. On the flip side, we did not have very good comments on the voting and registration area. It's very clustered, vision, so we would, of course, for the small percentage there, maybe just eliminate that for next year. And then prizes. I thought that was a huge hit. It didn't cost us any extra money. Allowed for community support and recognition for those businesses. So then be able to give those away at the meeting next year. Yeah, just a little graphic on some of the comments.
We are going to bring our recommendations for next year, incorporating the things that we put in here next month. Although we are wanting to get, which is the next item, the date nailed down, just because we want to make sure nobody gets the venue, number one. Number two, so that is consistent. That's one thing that we have heard in year over year comments is that consistency of that date. It's the second, they know it's the second week of June. It's on a Friday. Yeah, there's people that aren't going to be able to make that, but I think no matter what day we're going to get into that. But anyway, so we're not asking tonight for approval for anything for next year. We'll do that next month.
Other than when
Other than the date,
yeah.
the date and location are in the resolution.
Nice job.
Very well done. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing the results too. So we'll go on to the 2024 resolution of the annual meeting. Whereas the annual meeting of the members of Decatur County Rural Electric Membership Corporation shall be held between March 1st and August 1st of each year. And the plan is to have it on June the 14th. Okay. We got a first. Please second it. Got a first and second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. Motion approved. And the meeting will be on June 24th, 2024. Excuse me, June 14th, 2024. All right.
Thanks, Abby.
I think Brett alluded to the next topic already. We'll just touch base if anybody has any questions about it, but it shows from the Community Trust, those organizations that received funding, there was 14,500. So what that is, 14,500. It was given out.
Cook. Yeah, I know Trevor. Trevor used to mow here for.
Some dudes, I said, but anyway, DCR and and he said, oh, thank you. Yes, DCR, thank you.
You know, one thing I would suggest to the board is have those people on that board love that job and they're actually do a phenomenal job. I mean, some of the, I don't want to say arguing, but debating and stuff, they really do a good job. And I think all of them enjoy it. So we always have trouble getting people to do that. I would suggest have your current folks, if you don't know them, get to know them. And if you do know them, start talking to them about names for the future, because I think once they're off, they kind of lose that, that feeling maybe, I don't know. But that's all I consistently hear is those folks love to do it.
Good. All right, I guess it's that time of year to vote on the IC director and the delegate at the IC annual meeting. And Brett, refresh my memory, when is the annual meeting? I should know. Look on the back. It's the fourth
And fifth, yeah.
And I think typically the delegate needs to be there on the fourth.
And you guys do have the option, and it might make sense to go ahead and assign an alternative. That way, you have to go through a lot of work to get a second. Like if there's something that would, let's just say today, if we had a IEC board meeting and there was something that was critical for us to vote on and Steve is out, you guys have to have a special meeting. We have to make a resolution. It's a pain in the butt. So you may want to have an alternate. I know kind of in the past, we've always been like, we don't need that. I'd suggest voting on a director and an alternative and a delegate, all three.
Okay, well, let's start out with the IEC director. I am currently it. I'm willing to continue for another year. Okay, we have a first and a second. We'll wait on that. Are there any other nominations? Should we close nominations?
Yeah, you need to do a motion to close.
Let's get a motion to close nominations in. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, thank you very much.
You didn't need to vote on it because there was only one nominee. That's okay.
And then we'll do the delegate to the IC meeting. I think, I know Clay, you did that a couple years ago, and I think Brian, you've done that a couple years, so.
The annual meetings, just to let, sorry, Steve. It's up in the, up downtown Indianapolis. I don't even know what day the 4th is. Is it a Monday? Okay.
I'm like,
I believe there's some courses that weekend. I don't know if you've taken one of them.
Are you going on the 4th? Well, maybe, just wanted to make sure you knew.
Oh, yeah,
There's not much this year that's going to be tough.
okay. I think Suzanne's talking to her. I guess we need to
You gotta accept though.
He's willing to do that. All in favor, say aye. So Steve, you're the delegate. And then, right, your recommendation was to have an IEC director delegate or a alternate?
An
Or a-
alternate for you. So if you can't go to an IEC meeting, that we don't have to go through all the rigor. I wouldn't worry about the delegate alternate. I'm talking about the actual IEC delegate.
Yeah, but that's the delegate. The alternate is.
Okay. Maybe
I can just
Yeah, I don't
appoint-
think you need an alternate.
I can just
for that.
appoint somebody, so, to fill in for me.
Okay.
Unless we
That's
think we
usually
need,
the one that we have to do the.
maybe so. All right. So we won't worry about the alternate for that. And, I guess you could fill it out. Yep. All right, next item on the list, it's kind of a continuation of where we left off. Last month, there are some, bylaw, recommended changes, in policy 3.3, and so we'll continue the discussion from last month. See what everybody's thoughts are. I know we had some items redlined in section 3.06. And I know there was some discussion revolving around, I believe, items C and D there. Well, I don't think that's been determined by the board yet. However, when we saw Abby's presentation, I think there was maybe a recommendation that probably wouldn't have voting on site. I mean, that's not been etched in stone.
Yeah, and we didn't have ballots last year, nor would I ever recommend doing that. It's on an iPad. So you wouldn't have a
Yeah,
ballot.
that's what
Not typical speaking, but maybe they'll let you have every year.
Right.
I think that's going to be.
It would have to do it on that bill stuffer. Yeah. Because those people will read a bill stuffer.
One of the preaching was they. Sign. Voting.
Agent or something.
If there would be an issue with the voting company itself, if it was on site, not saying it's on site. Thought we were gonna have an attorney and or as assigned by the board of directors. I would think it would be an attorney saying or the active voting agency. We would need a non-board member committee to take care of that. And it wouldn't be the CE, board members are on the CE. I would just think it would be a rare circumstance that an attorney and or the voting agency as assigned by the board of directors with any elected voting issues.
It didn't have, you're talking about in that policy, right? It should be.
3.06 taking out CD.
She's referring to.
C and D, and then that's a new C.
C and replacing it with C, assist attorney.
And
Or voting agency as assigned by the board of directors the voting.
That wasn't in there, so that's what I'm saying. It's not in there. You can add it. Not a big deal.
That's fine.
I was gonna say, can I see it?
Still there's a question of leaving it all out. Attorney. Got the election company there. Is that enough to oversee whatever election issues there are?
If we don't have in-person voting, we won't have the voting agency there. Like they would not be anywhere on site because we're not going to pay for that piece of it.
But I think Steve's point is that, or at least my thought is the attorney's going to be the person you're going to go to regardless. They're going to have to use the attorney, make the call. Even in a tie, any of those weird circumstances, that's why we pay them to be there.
Melody, when Eric comes up.
It's a bylaw, right?
Mhm.
You can't see it up on. Did I go by it?
Oh, I didn't look.
Oh, this isn't the, hold on.
Well, if SBS or whoever we would have isn't present, would that suffice?
And with no committee actually. If there's an unusual circumstance, the attorney needs to turn to someone else. It's not going to be.
It's all ties and everything are in the bylaws. Everything that he would have to make that call. From reading the bylaws and knowing these bylaws, there's nothing that wouldn't, if it was an election day issue that was an abnormality that isn't covered in here, he's gonna have to make that call. That's what we pay them for. Tie is in here. It tells you exactly kind of how you need to do it. I don't know that we put.
Just my opinion. That's what I.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what the role would be in that situation. I feel like they're going to.
They're gonna have to.
I just feel like we're trying to clean this stuff up. Clear path, not make committed. Put something like this in. Big enough.
I think you just took out the word day. It says attorney with election voting issue.
I was thinking a little bit, maybe even more, just assist attorney at the annual event, but is that, then
I think now then you're gonna have folks in here, that's gonna open the whole can of worms. Now they have control over everything with the election.
We're just saying election day. and-
Yeah, I think if you take day out of there, now they're gonna want to be at SBS every day.
Further qualified by saying. That there's no action that they need to take unless. Clearly reason it turns last and nominating committee out less.
For his request, or when requested. Yeah.
On request, comments. That would be the answer.
That's a winner. Sure. What?
I don't know, but 3.
I've looked at these bylaws so many times. I don't want the red line.
Okay.
And actually make the changes. Sorry, I just want to get this like written out exactly how you guys want it so that we don't. Or not. There we go. 306.
Okay, Suzanne.
On the question. Request comment. I'm just, that's.
Ah, I capture it. There should be. All good? I don't know. I'll get it cleaned up.
I think
How about I do this? All good? Hey, I'm a formatting. See, that drives me nuts when there's 2 spaces for some reason. This is the old document. All right, we good there?
Well, we had a couple of other red lines. Make sure everybody saw those. I think to change the number of days from 60 to 75.
That's just
Everybody's
because of
good.
the
Yeah, right. I
timing.
think everybody's good with that. I just want to remind them.
Something else I didn't bring up last month that I wanted to change also was aligning the nominating committee members with the board as far as the elections go. Because right now they're kind of scattered. some nominating committee members, their very first year, they have to find a director. I
Yeah,
don't think that's fair to them. I'd like to align it so on everybody's second year in the nominating committee is when they find that director. I do have, I don't know if everyone wants to see, I have it.
I don't know how that's wrote in here.
Well, it's like this.
So the green is director, their current, the voting. And then red is what the current is for nominating committee, their, their districts. So then the new one would be the yellow, which is the new districts, how it would line up for being, like I said, their second year.
Where's that within the?
And that is
bylaws?
policy, section 4.04 is where we would need to change. And that's just my opinion that it needs to be their second year, but I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I would like to clean that up because it kind of bothers me. I don't like a nominating committee person having to find somebody their first year is my biggest issue with that.
Yeah, that doesn't make it easy.
No. And they also offset so that you weren't finding a director and a nominating committee person from the same district. So that director isn't competing with the nominating committee person to find people within their district at the same year. That's not fair either.
So would you do like they did in these years and say 2024?
Yeah, but then I don't know how it falls as far as if somebody's gonna be cut short on their, I don't want to cut anybody short on their term either, I guess. I didn't think that part out.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know
Cause
who
I don't
all
want
went
somebody that
on.
just got elected to be cut off next year. And I would say they need to be, either have years tacked on to their term if they want, or if they drop off, then,
If I can find the,
yeah, I've made things more complicated than I thought it was gonna do.
I'm trying to think of, do you want me to have Jeannie look at this and try to figure out how we would redline this? Or are you wanting this done as a part of all these other ones?
I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't think it out good enough to realize how bad it is.
Somebody could have just got on.
Yeah, somebody could just got on this last year.
I can't imagine they're gonna care, but I don't, maybe. Nominating committee.
I think, we could look back close.
Yeah, I just hate to. Drop this to.
You don't know where our nominating committee list is
I
at, do
don't,
you?
'cause I don't know how that all.
It's in the-
I was thinking, that's not a bad thing to put on the website either. Under, even though they're not stuff. Somebody was asking me the other day who they are.
Then I may,
Name all of
I
them.
have to look them up. I don't know.
You don't know where the list is at, it's my problem. Yeah, I do, it's under JD. I can't get to it here.
So yeah, this proposal 4 would be reelected again next year in 24, and they just got elected.
I was trying to bring up the list here, give me one. Here we go. Maybe.
Would that be the only situation? I guess we could come back to it, but
Yeah,
verify how it's impactful.
So elected
Maybe
in
we'll come in,
2022.
Yeah.
Going
I just thought
forward.
maybe we could do it all at once here, but that's.
District 2 was just done in 2023.
Two would stay the same.
Okay.
2 and Seven will stay the same, everything else will change.
Four just got elected.
Yeah, four is the one that would be impacted.
Four, five,
Five would only have a 2-year term.
yep. And six. There's quite a few.
Yeah, I think we'll have to think through that a little bit.
But five is also the one that is gonna have to find somebody their first year.
Correct.
So they probably wouldn't care. They have to find somebody this year and then they'd have 2 years doing nothing. And then in my thing, they'd have just 1 extra year. You know, not finding somebody. But
I don't know if there's an easy way of doing this other than just you do it and
I would say let four do a 4-year term and then everything else changes as I have it written.
Per year, I don't think that's the thing I ran into. This year, with mine being vacant. He has, Joe had to be. You're limited on how long you can't be on 4 years.
Well, right now it's just one
Maybe a
term.
special thing we're doing now.
Because I think
I think instead of just being able to change it tonight, we'd have to look
Yeah.
more thoroughly of what else we would consider, and then, if we want to continue to look at it, we can bring it back. So let's go back to what was redlined today and then the modification that took place.
you want us to go ahead and look at this further, right? Go ahead and I'll have Jeannie kind of think about how we could do it.
Don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on your, but not a lot of major effort. That makes sense.
See if we can come up with something to select.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the bylaw changes and what was redlined and what was modified as we talk through it. Any additional discussion? We'll look at I mean, I guess we could look at the policy as well and do them both in one, but I just assume just to prove the bylaw red lines initially. Back to 3.6.
Yep, I'm going back up. Is this upon request of who, I guess? No. On request by attorney?
On request too.
What do you want me to do?
Or right after that.
Got you. We good?
with any, yeah, get rid of that second. Get rid of the attorney or election agency. There you go. Oh yeah, now you have to do another with.
Oh,
Looks like it's little.
Disappeared on request.
I don't think there's a,
Not request.
no, after.
No. Yeah. Right.
Because you can delete whatever.
Okay.
don't ask me, obviously.
You noticed you were,
Yeah, I noticed I wasn't asked, but.
Diane, to approve the red light changes in the bylaws, and that wasn't the only red light change, it had to do with the days as well, yeah. We have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? All in favor? Okay. We can have a roll call vote. Okay, I'll just go around the room. We'll start with, Ryan. Are you prove it? Oh, we never did get a second, did we? We get, okay, we're good. Okay, approval. Dale. Carl. Clay. That was approved. Suzanne. Steve. Jason. And I approve. So the motion passes to approve the bylaw red line changes. Now we go ahead and modify the policy 3.3 red lines. It's already in there. I think we actually talked about that last month as well. I think we were good to. I'm sorry? No, we're talking about 3.3 under policy bylaw reviews. 3.3. Yes, yes. Are you bringing that one up?
I'm going to. Policy, is it?
3.3.
3.3. It's coming.
Okay.
Okay.
We got a 2G. You were there. G. There you go. You see where, second line, second to the last word, you got exerts. Should be excerpts.
Spell it for me. You said that too. Go ahead.
CER, put a C after the X.
Oh, that was that easy. Back up.
Excerpts.
Certs.
Got it.
Spell it how you spell it.
P before the T. Sorry.
Before the
P
T.
before the T.
Ugh.
Okay, everything else in there okay with everyone? I'm gonna change the adopted date, I think. There we go. All right, need a motion to approve the changes. Motion to approve. We have a first. And a second, Jason. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. So motion. Oh. All right, next item, excuse me, is policy 1113. And I think most of the changes are just from replacing the word president with CEO.
Yeah, I don't think we made any material changes.
Okay. We'll combine them. I know it's just cleaning them up a little. Here we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. So those two have been approved with their revisions. All right, affiliated organizations. Jason, I guess we'll start with you. He said no.
Across the Indiana-Michigan border, the state of Michigan has $1 grant dollars to then they're going to be able to pull this off. This will be the first. Great opportunity for Maryland and also the potential for well, PPA's got to discuss that price. Make it there's some opportunity for 5% grant dollars. Lower the cost of the pieces that have to fall into place. There are politics. But we did sign the deal, and there's enough room at this site that they're hoping to do some R&D on some of their SMRs. We'll have the first round refusal projects at the small nuclear reactors. So it's a big deal. The whole thing is hoping that they have a successful restart of this facility that's going to operate as a blueprint for your restart of something.
Yeah. Anything else from Mary and Jason? All right, as far as the IC board, we did not have a current meeting. However, the minutes from the August board meeting are out there. I don't think they usually are in such short notice because of the last meeting. But I am going to share, I think it's tomorrow, I'm going to be going up. They're doing a groundbreaking ceremony at the new facility, and I'm planning on going up for that. So that's really all I have for that. As far as any director training or conferences attended, anybody? Any? None? All right, unless anyone has anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn the open board meeting. Okay. Adjourned.